What's up? What's up, everybody? I'm back with another episode of A Man and His Thoughts. I'm your man, Andre. Saturday, July 8th, I believe. July 8th, here in Lansing, Michigan. Just took some time out to do another video, as I always do. Trying to inform people about this crooked and shady child support system here in our country, in our state. Michigan is very hardcore when it comes to child support. Child support is definitely brutal. And understand, this is not somebody just bitching about child support. I'm more have an issue with the fact of how it's done and how it's a nasty cycle that's perpetrated by the state or the people who makes policies. And I'll give you an example. Say a father gets this outrageous support amount because they use this ridiculous calculation that don't make sense a lot of times for people. And what end up happening is that fathers can't afford this amount. And a lot of times fathers sometimes are not working like a big full-time job, or they simply don't make enough to afford this crazy amount. So the fathers continually get behind. And then when they go to court for show cause, a lot of times judges are pretty cool and they try to work with you as long as the father's trying to do his part. But in some cases, you'll have judges that will just try to throw you in jail. And so what is it good is that going to do? So now you get thrown in jail. Now you lose your job. Now you're back in a situation where you gotta hopefully still have your job when you get out. And so that's the nasty cycle sometimes that child support creates, or the Friends of the Court creates. But it's really all about you understanding and learning your specific state laws and regulations. That's really what you need to understand how to do. If you don't really understand it, then I suggest you dig into your books, wherever you may be at, and understand your laws, because the laws change very quickly, and they do not have to send you a letter, or they do not have to send you a notice. It just automatically happens, and it's up to you to figure those things out and ask questions. As I said, your workers should be telling you these things. They should be educating you on these things. They can't give you legal advice, and that's kind of their safeguard and not giving you what you need to do. One of the things that I kind of want to touch on today is about support. I'm all for a woman or man getting child support, but I want you to understand that's not your money. That's not, you didn't work for that money. You didn't punch in a clock or check in for that money. That money is obligated to your children. Back in the day, you used to be able to have to provide receipts on what you provided for, and I wish they would kind of go back to that, because there are some mothers who do what they need to do when it comes to child support. They get that money, they pay for the kids' clothing, food, whatever they may be. But I'm not trying to hear that bullshit. Oh, I pay the light bill and gas bill every time you don't. Because I see a lot of you women out here getting this child support money. You at the clubs, you at the store. Half of y'all live better than most of the state workers that's got your case, all because you're getting child support. Now, I'm not saying that you can't do certain things with it, but don't be sitting here. I don't respect a woman or a man who strictly just live off child support. That's ridiculous. He's a bum. Because let's be clear, there's a lot of women who take that money and buy themselves stuff, and then bitch at the dude when he don't provide more money for that child support, and I can't respect that at all. So my thing is, when you pay that money, as a man, ain't nothing you can really do about it. Once it leaves your pocket, it's what it is. And what you women need to understand is, once that check gets cut, it's out of that dude's hand. The court's taking their fee, and you'll get your check, whatever. So all you women calling these men, bitching and moaning and all, where my money? It ain't your money. Despite what you may want to think is not your money, you did not work for it. You're an obligator of it. You're a beneficiary of it, or your kids is. You know, that's the reality. And so when the guy, when he works and they take the money out, it takes a couple of days to get it. And that's the reality of it. So you have to understand that. And I feel bad for a lot of celebrities because they're paying like ridiculous amount. I think Puffy's paying close to $1 million for his kids, I believe. You can't tell me it takes $1 million to raise some kids. You can't tell me that, man. Now, understand when you're in a lifestyle, there's a little bit more expensive, private schools, things like that. And a kid is not accustomed to some certain lifestyle. That's a parent's feeling. You know, I just think it gets petty when these celebrities get this, you know, $50,000 a month for child support. That's nuts. $100,000. Mark Anthony, I was reading an article from 2014 about Mark Anthony and his ex-wife wanted his support to go up to $113 a month. I think he was making he was paying $13,000 a month, and she wanted to go to $113,000 a month. Like, are you kidding me? Like, you really think that that's helpful, or is it about your lifestyle? Some of these, and this is where I talk to guys, you guys have to go into court and fight. Y'all cannot allow for these outrageous numbers. So if you're a man and you paying like $800 a month, when are you going to have time to see your kid? Because keep in mind, you probably got your own place, car note. All you doing is working. And then what she's going to do is say, you're never around. Well, damn it, I got to work. I got to do overtime just to pay this $800 a month child support. So this is where, guys, you get into prioritizing your life. And this is where you have to start you have to figure out what's important. Now, you got to earn your money, but you also got to cut out some of the other bullshit that goes on in your life. So when you get off work, you got to start planning your days out. Okay? Because you got to justify why you need to ask the child support lower. Because then now you say, hey, I got my visitation. I don't work those days anymore. So now you can use those 3 days as your time with your children. And you create that pattern. Now you're cutting down your child support. Because if you're a good man, you're still going to take care of your children at the end of the day. But you cannot allow for these outrageous numbers to run your life. That's why you can't just sit back and accept these numbers. And getting a lawyer is expensive. A lot of these things, guys, you can fight yourself. You don't need a lawyer for a lot of this stuff. Like I told you on the last video, you can go to your state's local website, wherever state you're in. You can go to Chicago, state of Chicago court forms. The website will come up, and you type in the form you're looking for. Whether you in Washington State court forms, it comes up. Michigan State court forms, it comes up. So you have to kind of be mindful of what you're filing. So, and when you file, you have to know what you're filing. Because if you say you're filing just for parenting time, they're only going to deal with parenting time. They're not going to deal with custody. So you have to be mindful of how you file your cases. And now if you file it wrong, then you got to go all back and do it over. And you also have to keep in mind the city you in. Somewhere like Flint, for instance. I had a case in Flint. Flint's like 6 months behind. So I'm not going to get no results for another 4 or 5 months from a situation I just got through dealing with. But, well, yeah, about 3 months, which is crazy. But you gotta. But once again, it's asking those questions: how long? When I'm gonna get a verdict? When I'm gonna get a decision? You have to ask these questions. And so one of the things that you also have to look at too, guys, is when you're not paying your support, that money keeps building up. They don't give a damn that you're not working. So you have to make sure you're in contact with your worker, kind of explaining the situation to them, and letting them know what's going on. Now, they don't give a shit, but that's the reality, because it don't matter to them. You still got to pay. When you get your taxes back, that child support get their money before any other bills. So that's how powerful child support is. They get their money first, then everybody else. So you gotta think about what you're doing. And so that's kind of a little piece on money, man. You really have to just be mindful of the amount of money that you're spending, what's getting taken away. Now, if you don't want to be a part of your kid's life and you rather cut a check, then shit, do it. If that's what you choose to do. But don't be bitching and moaning, like I said, when another man steps up and raises your child. Because it's more important for you to run the street and lay in the bed with other chicks. But don't be mad when another man's raising your child. If that's what you choose to do, pay your support and move the hell on. Period. But like I always tell you guys, understand how you're filing your orders. I'm going to keep beating that into you guys' head. You have to file correctly. Every state has a fee waiver. You have to ask for a fee waiver. You have to ask for visitation. You have to ask for custody. You have to, guys, you have to dig in and fight for your child. Don't sit back and accept whatever these courts tell you. Because a lot of men, they label as whatever. They want a deadbeats or whatever. Some states are pro-woman, which means, I think my buddy told me Washington State is a pro-woman state. And that's fine. But you got to dig in and let these people know that you're not going to treat me in any kind of way. Because one thing is clear. We have laws. They have to follow the law. But if you won't follow these steps, then that's how they're going to treat you. You guys can't get frustrated. Child support is a nasty, grimy thing. It's not meant to be rainbows and butterflies. This is like the swamp. You got to drudge through that. I mean, you got to dig through that. Because that's how they make it, unfortunately. It's not meant to be pretty. And so, also on the flip side of that, in Michigan, I believe there is no welfare fraud. So what that means is, and this is kind of switching subjects, I was just thinking about a case that just happened, I believe in Detroit. A gentleman was accused of fathering a child when he wasn't even in there. And the lady did it all because she wanted to get welfare. This woman, so when everything came out, she told the courts he's not the father. The DNA test proved he wasn't the father. Jail records proved he was in jail during the time frame. The biological father came forth and said, I'm the father, which was validated through DNA testing. And they still tried to hold this man in contempt of $30,000. They even tried to throw him in jail. Matter of fact, I think they did throw him in jail. After all this evidence was put before them. This is how messed up the child support system is. You have all this information, and this man still got accused of fathering a child that he was not privy to. So guys, you got to be aware of that situation too. You got to be aware of that. In Michigan, you need to fix those laws. And I'm gonna start trying to put something together and learn how to. And if anybody out there that want to work with me on trying to change some of these laws, hit me up at andrebrown821@gmail.com. That's A, D as in David, R-E, Brown at Gmail, andrebrown821@gmail.com. And let's put our heads together. You could be a woman too, you know, because there are a lot of good women out here that don't take their men to court and they support them from the aspect of letting them raise a child. I think that's very cool. I think it's very important because there are a lot of raggedy ass women out here who are in the way because that man had moved on from you. Let him raise his child, because all you're going to do is bitch and moan when that kid get older and become rebellious and become ridiculous and be into mess. Oh, his daddy wasn't around. Well, why wasn't his daddy around? Because you was in the way. Get out the way. And if you men don't want to be a part of your child's life, move on. Pay your support, move on. Don't complain when they hit you with a certain amount. And I know what I said earlier, but I want you to understand when I say that, that's for the men who don't want to be a part of their kid's life. I have no love for you. So whatever the courts say, that's what you pay. Period. 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 I work with kids that don't got fathers. I've seen what it look like. So we have to start changing this thing, man. But it all starts by you going down to the courts and fighting for your child. But before you do all of that, guys, make sure you have things in order at home. Make sure you got an apartment. Make sure you got some type of a job. Make sure you have something going for yourself, so that way you can start. That was my son kind of messing me up. Excuse me. You have to have something, so that way when you go to court, you can kind of go down a checklist and stuff. Because some of these women don't got a pot to piss in, but they're bringing in $700 a month in child support, another $800 in food stamps, another $700 in cash assistance. They're driving a Charger. So you guys are we're at a disadvantage. Because of one, there's not a lot of state programs for us either. They're all based around women a lot of times. But so you have to kind of lay your foundation first, guys. So that means if you're in a bad area, guys, that means you may need to move to a different location. You may need to move off the city you're in, depending where your children are. You may have to and start over fresh. I know a lot of guys who've done that. They left the city they're in just to be closer to their kids and started off fresh. You know, and sometimes you have to do that. Because remember, it's always about your child. Put them in a great position. Because it's more important, and most states will say, if you look at their code of ethics or whatever you want to call it, it's important that both parents are there to parent a child. Nothing's good will come if both parents are not there, unless they're just abusive parents. So men, you have to make sure that you have that foundation first before you even think about going to court. Because they're going to ask you where you live at. Do you work? Where you live? You know, so you have to have those things together. And I know sometimes you can't do certain things, but you got to be creative. I stay with my mom right now, but we we got a 4-bedroom, and so this is where we were staying at. You know, there are some things you just got to be creative with it, guys. So if you have any questions, definitely feel free to hit me at andrebrown821@gmail.com, and then we can kind of go over some things. You got situations, feel free to talk about it. We'll discuss it. And on a positive note, I had a great time this past week playing with some veterans at VFW. I plan to do that again next week, Thursday. Definitely, it's just really enjoyable doing that, doing something different, playing some cards. It was real cool doing that. But other than that, guys, make sure you stay up on your reading when it comes to your state laws. Make sure you're aware of what's going on. And one thing, guys, if your child is in a dangerous situation, abusive situation, every state has a thing called an ex parte order. You got to go to the county clerk and get it, or a court office to get it. It's an ex parte order. That's only usually for when your case is direct conflict or direct danger. File it. And what happens is you'll get an immediate hearing, and the judge will make a ruling to get your kid, but you need to be prepared for that because it's going to move fast. Okay? So until next time, as my middle school principal say, believe, achieve, and you will succeed. Until next time, peace.